Welcome, everybody. Every single Wednesday night, we bring you the price report with an amazing personality from around the blockchain, someone that is a crypto lifer. I consider anyone that I bring on this show someone who's dedicated themselves to crypto, who's become successful in cryptocurrency. A portion of their life has actually brought them fruition, and they do it daily, and they love it. It's also a passion of theirs. You know this person, probably knew them before me. I remember when we first interacted online, maybe about a year and a half ago now. We've done a few segments back and forth. We may have been on the blockchain, and he's been on my channel before. Jayson Casper, in my mind, one of the best leveraged Bitcoin traders you can watch in the game. There's so much to learn from him, and he gives it to you nice and concise. Jayson, how's your day doing, man? How you been? Thank you so much for taking your busy time to come hang out with the lifers.
Sam, man, I'm honored to be back on your channel, bro. Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing good, man. I was literally outside before I came in here. I ran over some landscape mat with my rototiller, and I had to like take it all apart and cut it out, and it was a huge, big project, man. Not fun.
Well, I was thinking about you yesterday. No lie, I think about you often, but literally concentrated on you for a few minutes because there's a lot of land next to me that's they've left abandoned, and I usually clean it up. But this summer I wasn't around a lot, and it got out of control. And my family's coming because we're having a funeral or whatever this weekend. And I just want it to look nice. It's not my lot. I don't know whose it is. So I just went in there, and it had those same plants that you said you were growing with your chickens. Like it was the same plant. I knew it because I saw it, and I was like, oh, he's growing these with his chickens. It's like
Amaranth.
Amaranth. It has a nice smell to it. Yeah, that's what
they're beautiful, right?
Yeah. It's like a weed kind of, right? It's like a watery type of weed or something. I don't know. It seems to be growing by itself next to my house, but so I was thinking about you. But why I love my channel is I'm about sustainability. That's why I began trading, right?
Me too.
And what I love about you lately is you're kind of offshooting a little bit of your lifestyle. And I thought you had been doing farming for 10, 20 years. And the other day you came out and you're like, dude, I just started this, everyone. You can do this too. How did you get the passion to live off the land? Was it crypto that gave you this opportunity to become independent? Just take us down your story, man. And we'll get into trading and stuff like that too. But I'm just inspired, but like kind of how you became the man you are today, man.
Yeah, man. Well, the self-sustainability is very, very much so related to my journey in crypto because, when I've always been an entrepreneur, like literally since I was in middle school, I was selling candy and like all this kind of stuff. And then in high school, I learned how to like start blogs and affiliate market with different people. I always wanted to like live outside the system. You know what I'm saying? Looking for like, I guess, non-traditional ways to like make money and support myself. And as I got older and I started to learn about money, the dollar, specifically Creature from Jekyll Island, learning about the Federal Reserve and all this stuff, it eventually caused me to realize that everything, our entire society is unsustainable. You start going down the rabbit holes and you start to realize that if you want to live outside this system, it's more than just your money, right? It's more than just the dollar, because people are a slave to the dollar. They're a slave to their job. They're going paycheck to paycheck. Meanwhile, that paycheck is worth less and less and less every single month. But they're also slaves to getting their food from like the grocery store and stuff like this. And, people, I tend to be more of a conspiratorial kind of guy. Like to the normie, I'd be super paranoid, super conspiratorial. I'm sure a lot of people in the crypto space share those same sentiments. But if you take, I guess, prepping, right? Because a lot of people are prepping for if something happens, right? If you take that to its logical conclusion, you'd end up living off the land, because then every single thing that the system or the government or society can hold over you and say, you have to do what I say because I'm the one that holds your food, your water, your power, your job. If you can eliminate those things that are keeping you in bondage, then you can become more free. And so for me, it just was a logical conclusion that I would want to move in the direction of providing as many of my own resources for myself as I possibly could. So
let me back you up here. Did you make money in cryptocurrency, be able to quit your job, buy some land, and then be able to get into, did cryptocurrency have something to do with your ability
absolutely,
to be a sustainable farmer? So linked, because so many people are watching us right now. They're in that 9 to 5. They're paycheck to paycheck, right? They're at work right now, clicking on this. They're at a night shift, clicking on this. They're waking up in the morning, and they're like I was. I used to watch YouTube and have this burning desire to be out, to not be at that desk, to not be in that cubicle, right? how did you use cryptocurrency to make the transition? And what made you realize spending your money on land was the most important thing? Like, how did you come to that conclusion?
Yeah, so with the whole crypto thing, basically, me and my wife FOMO'd into Bitcoin in 2016 when it was like $500. We had our whole life savings at the time, I think was like 35K that we had been working for, a number of years to save up. And I just told her, hey, we're, this Bitcoin thing, this is it. This is the future. Like, let's put our life savings into that. So we did. And it went to 10K, which I sold a lot. Then it went even higher. I think I sold it 10K and around 17K. And that was enough money to actually buy 6 acres with a house. And,
I'm doing the math, 30K, about 20x, right? So you're talking about $500,000 somewhere, give or change, some change.
Yeah, about that. I mean, we were basically set to buy the property and everything we needed to maintain it. And I look at that as a huge God thing, bro. Like, because I would never tell somebody who's working a 9 to 5, hey, just FOMO into crypto and you're going to be able to buy a house, right? I would never tell that to anybody. This is just my own personal experience. In hindsight, super irresponsible. That's why I say the Lord had favor on me in that. But I look at land as actual wealth. When you think about why people work, why are people spending their energy on anything? It's because they need food and shelter, basically. And if you have a piece of land, then you can provide food from that land and you can build a shelter on that land. Like the two most fundamental things in the physical that you need, So it just makes the most sense to me that I would be using Bitcoin. I know a lot of people they look at Bitcoin as this like amazing thing, but I look at it as a means to an end. Like I look at crypto as a means to get tangible assets because, I'm a tangible, physical being. I need food. It doesn't matter if I have 1 million Bitcoin, if I have no food, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you can't I could have 100 million Bitcoins in my hardware wallet.
Yeah.
I don't know how to go out there and till that land. If I don't understand how to grow my own food or at least pay someone to do it, right? Or buy the land.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
What's the point of making money? And I tell a lot of my students and people that I meet too, just trading wise, have a goal for your money. Somewhat of a goal. You know what I mean? Well, have a goal. I didn't have a goal recently, in the past when I skyrocketed accounts. And had I had a goal, like you're saying, a tangible idea in the real world and not just dreaming of digits and numbers, I'm going to have this much Bitcoins, right? It would have definitely been a better deal. Now that I have a regular, it's funny, now that I have kids, my wife told me she was pregnant yesterday afternoon, actually. So
congratulations, bro.
Yeah. And I heard that you mentioned, I could be wrong, but I would have sworn a month ago, I tapped onto your channel and you said something about you're expecting too, right?
We are. Yeah. Yep.
Soon, or is it just like same with me? Like you guys just kind of like it's just got started, or it's come your baby's coming soon?
Right now, the due date is the beginning of April, so I'm hoping it happens at the same time as the Bitcoin halving.
Dude, that's my birthday, April 9th. It's gonna be an Aries baby, bro. Aries,
wow, powerful. Interesting, bro.
I'm telling you, Aries. The problem with being an Aries is you're given so much energy and so much ability to lead that you can really ruin it. Like you can it's like intense energy. Right. And my whole life, everyone went up to me and like, Sam, you got this intense energy. If you could only learn how to hone in on it, you know what I mean? So it caused me a lot of distress in my life, but now I'm putting it to use, I'm putting it
blessing and a curse.
That's what happens,
Yeah.
So then you start farming and that it makes sense too, your trading style, why you kind of focus on Bitcoin mainly, while you pull profits, while you're constantly kind of, but I did hear you. Some people would say, oh, he's just a trader. He just wants to make money. He doesn't care. But I have heard you, like me, like the other day, Bitcoin's down and I told everyone I'm going to buy, 1,000 blocks, 2,000 blocks. This is a great DCA. And then I popped onto your channel and you were like, you know what? I'm going to take some of these profits. I made 20. I remember because I have this crazy photographic memory, right? You tweeted the other day. I did 20,000 steps. I read Roman.
Yeah.
I lifted heavy weights. I made 3 YouTube videos. There was like the certain things that you did. You're like, and now it's 9:30. I'm gonna start my day, and I was like, I love this, but yeah, you actually stack Bitcoin long term, right?
Absolutely.
Talk about that. Talk about how you still believe in the fundamentals. So it's an end to a means, but do you see it like, do you see $1 million Bitcoin, 500,000, or is the number not that important to you? Where are we going in the future? Do you see us going with Bitcoin?
Yeah. I mean, I'm an interesting guy because I can hold like I can approach Bitcoin as a scalper or day trader, as a position trader, and even like as a guy who just believes in the long-term fundamentals. And so people always think I'm like flopping and groping and changing my view when I'm like shorting Bitcoin, but meanwhile I'm like super bullish in the next 2 years. It's because I can view it through all the different lenses. So for me, I really believe in the fundamentals of what Bitcoin was originally created to be, a peer-to-peer means of exchange, me to you. You can't duplicate it, you can't copy it, you can't forge it or counterfeit it. There's a fixed supply. It's the closest thing you can get to gold and silver in digital, right? And so for me, when I'm seeing what's happening with all this fiat currency, I'm like, wow, this is a great solution to that. I believe in these fundamentals, especially now that you're seeing countries actually embrace Bitcoin. To me, it seems like a really good solution to a problem. And I believe that the value of it is going to continue to increase when we compare it to the dollar, when we compare it to other fiat currencies. I mean, I've just seen in my own lifetime, Bitcoin's down right now, from 69K, but I bought in at $500. So it's been a super huge hedge against inflation for me, and I feel for the people who buy at the top of bull markets and then have to hodl. But, historically speaking, if you bought the top, you're still going to be in profit in a few years. So I believe in the long-term fundamentals. I have more Bitcoin on spot right now than I've ever had in my life. I've been stacking throughout the entire bear market. I was, making content. I'm sure you were too after FTX went down, saying, everybody, my old friends, hey, should I sell? It's like, this is a sign it's time to buy, because at least you're not buying the top. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah.
When everyone's bullish and CNN says, oh, maybe you should add Bitcoin to your portfolio, it's like, it's an all-time high. Like, if you're buying at 50K when we've never been at 50K before, objectively speaking, you're buying the all-time high. So
Yeah.
if we dump down to 17K, you're not buying the top. you know And so I've been stacking ever since, bro. I'm still stacking right now. I'm shorting Bitcoin right now, inverse perpetual, to make Bitcoin on the way down.
Yeah, no, I
So
see. You have two longs and a short. Like, I see your positions, and I can remember where you made them because I watched like the price of Bitcoin, right? And I'm always like, that was that high at 31. Sometimes I'm amazed you don't sell when we go down. I'm like, how can he not take the? Sometimes I see us hit like a super low, and I'm like, how would he not take the short yet? I'm amazed, but I do see you take partials. So
yeah,
you always pay yourself. Like, you're like, all right, that's another thing. He may keep a trade open, everyone, but he's gonna take profits along the way. Like, you'll see, he may be up $8,000 and realize will be 4,000. Like, he will have taken his money, and this man will make, like, he's not even bragging about it. He's like very humble about it. Like, he will turn $300 into $8,000. I've seen him turn $400 into $12,000. Like, I'm serious, and it takes him time. I've seen him take 4 months straight, 3 months straight. He'll sit with the same times where I would have taken the money. He has so much control over his emotion and his strategy. It's impressive, man. It's beautifully impressive to see. Like, as a trader who's dedicated my life to trading, like, I love, I just love watching you kill it, man. It's great,
I have a little system I use. It's mostly for psychological purposes. I mean, my goal number one is don't lose money, and then goal number two is make something. And then once I've made something, I just say that's it. Like, I in my mind, the trade's as good as closed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I take a partial and I made something, trade's as good as closed. The only two potential scenarios is either, I closed the trade and I made this profit, or I am holding a portion of it and it just keeps going in that direction, and then I make even more. So it's a win-win. It's like a psychological thing for me.
Yeah.
And then counter trading myself, and a lot of people don't understand. You're long and you're short.
Yeah. When's the first time you counter traded? Like, how did you do it? You know what I mean? I think I counter traded once or twice before in my life. It's weird for me because I need to be like of a certain bias. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The more I understand kind of other concepts of trading, I can understand more of what you're doing. But when did you first do it? Like, how did you break through that mental barrier of being like, how can I be long and short at the same time? That makes you really unique because you've perfected that. A lot of other people may do it here and there, but in my mind, you have perfected it. Like, I think you're the most known schlong trader in the game. You know what I mean? Like,
on YouTube. That's the thing. YouTube only highlights certain people, but there's a lot of people out there way better, way better.
But they didn't have the gall to come out though to the world. You know what I
mean? Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it really just comes from having like because I was always primarily like a swing trader, low leverage longs and stuff like that, especially like in the bull market. Like I'm pretty sure, like you even still see I hold trades for months.
Yep.
And so I would just inverse perpetual Bitcoin 1x, 2x leverage during the bull market and just trail my stop. And so eventually, like once I got more into like lower term time frame stuff, I had my low leverage swing trade account, and then I had my scalping account. And then it's like I don't care if I'm in this giant long trade. If I see a short opportunity here, I'm going to take it from a different account. And then it just got to the point where now, like on MEXC, you could literally hold, a long and a short on the inverse and a long and a short on the linear contracts. So you can have 4 Bitcoin trades open at the same time, and it just shows all on one screen. But you have to compartmentalize it. Like, yeah. So basically, right now, like I'm looking for a potential. I know people hate when I say this, a potential move down below 18K, right? Okay. So I'm short from like 31,740, but we've come down to support. We've got a nice long, in my opinion, potentially a retracement up to around $30,000. So I'm long from 24.9. So I'm short from 31.7. I'm long from 24.9. I'm going to TP on the long at 30K if we get there. I'm not going to close the short because I'm looking at just a little bit of a retracement here to make a lower high and then another move down. So if anything, I'll add to the short once we get up to the TP on the long.
But you've paid yourself on the short already too, though, right?
Absolutely. Like I've already made on the short. I've made more than half of Bitcoin on the short. So
amazing.
If it gets stopped, like that's the thing, like, and I've got my stop at the entry. So if we keep pumping and my short gets stopped out and I don't see anything bearish, well, I'm still going to be holding a portion of the long that I'm in. But, if not, then, I've still got the short open. It's just a win-win.
Like you say, because you psychologically have cut the trade off already. There's no reason to stop them at one point once they're there. And so
exactly,
you know what I mean? You're in la la land at that point. It's fine, right? Like the trade, whatever it gives you now, it gives you. You never say, oh, I coulda, woulda, shoulda. There's no emotional beatdown. There's no negative self-talk about, oh, it would have been a better trade if I had or coulda. You know what I mean? That's
yeah. People always like, I'm sure you get this a lot. Should I close it? This question, should I close it? You're in a trade, you're in profit. Should I close it or should I keep it open? For me, the answer is yes. Both. Do both. Take a partial and then keep it open. Like, why not? Like, if you rack up a whole bunch of tiny wins, eventually one of those tiny wins is going to be massive. And even if you have half the position open, like let's say, you make $10 every single small trade that you take, right? You make $10 per trade. Well, if instead of taking the full profit, $10, you take $5 out every trade, you're making half the money, right? So some people say it's not worth it. But eventually, if you hold half of that trade and the first 3, you take $5 stopped out at the entry for a $5 profit and keep doing the same thing, $5 stopped at the entry. Eventually, you're going to take that $5 profit and that trade is just going to keep running. And then that rest of the half of your trade, now you're going to be making like $50, $100 on this massive trade. And so over time, at least in my experience, it's better that way. And mostly it's the psychological, because then you don't have to play that game. Should I close it? If you close the full trade at $10 and then it goes wild, you're going to be, oh, why didn't I keep it open?
And you might chase 2 at the last minute, right when price first, right? And then
by the top,
because you're just like, oh, yeah. I have found when you stick to rules, like I remember when I began trading and, I'd put a stop loss and not really move it. And then price would go all over the place. And now I'm more apt to just bring the stop loss to break even and then trail. And it's funny, recently now I'll be super happy with the trade. And I'm more into just taking the profit. And I'll switch to like the ones. I was literally switching to the 1 minute and I was on the 1 second chart and just, and I was like putting my stop loss like right below price. And it's funny. I just started doing that recently the last 2 weeks. And the more times I did it, the price kept going up. And it was funny. It's like the times you don't use a stop loss, you get bagged. The type I'm begging to get stopped out. And I'm like just trying. I was like, I basically want the trade to close. Like,
nice.
Seeing what else I can get. And somehow you're getting more out of the trade. It's like,
I'm going to try that strategy. Just push the price up with the stop.
Yeah. I hope it. Yeah. But it's when you do the right thing, like when I'm on the right side of a trade, it's then easier to trade Bitcoin for the next few weeks, right? If you get caught on the wrong side, it's like you almost have to wait to reset your brain to start trading correctly again. Cause you're like, you start seeing the market wrong, and then you're kind of backwards and you're chasing again.
There's like a groove you have to be in. Like, like when you're on the road and you hit every single red light, you're in that like bad groove. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to get into the green light groove.
I
feel you.
Manhattan, like the lights are timed pretty much, from like 96 all the way down to like 42nd Street. Then 42nd Street, because it's a bigger intersection. But you just reminded me of like when I used to coast down like 3rd Ave, coast down, maybe down 5th Ave. And as the lights change, and like if you're like hitting your blinkers right and like you're seeing it, and like you're just like, I was whipping through like 30 blocks like without ever hitting a red light, just because you're like, oh,
nice.
But yeah, one thing too that I found out about you, I like to kind of reveal. I want to do more reveals here. I want to make these more interesting, kind of like David Letterman interviews, you know what I mean? Because I think you're on your way too. You were super nice to me before we did the show, but I believe you're going to 500,000 subscribers. You're on your way. You're about to hit 100,000 subscribers too. Everyone subscribe to this man. I want to see him hit 400 more, and he gets to 100K, and he gets the plaque, man, and all the hard work. And it's kind of a cool thing. It's something that I dream of doing one day, is opening the plaque one day and being like, hey, everyone, we got to 100K. But you were also in a metal band or something, right? And you were kind of like, it was getting some notoriety, right?
Yeah. That's true.
Do you still jump on the guitar at all, or is it just dusted on the side?
It's dusted on the side, bro.
But you were a musician grinding it out. Like, explain that. I don't think everybody knows that about you.
Yeah. So in high school, like I just wanted to be in a band. So I actually didn't graduate high school because I was on tour. So my band ended up getting a record deal, a pretty nice deal with a good booking agent and a good manager and all that. And so I was touring for like 3 years. Like I was away like 9 months of the year, international touring and all that stuff. And we played some crazy shows because of our booking agent would get us on these tours where like we were the opener for like some band that was like, in the Billboard Top 200. But I stopped doing that because like I was taking me down a bad path in life.
Okay.
Just like a very negative path.
Yeah. It's interesting. I was a rapper for, I didn't make it. I don't think I was even as big as you, but I had an agent, I was going around. I did performances. I was doing some features, but similar. I asked myself one day, like, do I want to be in hotel to hotel? Do I want to be roaming in clubs late at night, having to do appearances? And I saw where the life was taking me, right? Yeah. And maybe subconsciously or unconsciously, I pulled back and isolated a little bit, started working a night shift, got back into the TV industry, just behind the scenes, and developed, I got into camera work and video editing. And
nice.
But I always had that like dream of like, and I'd been on stage before, and that rush and that like, but yeah, there's that's another thing that we're connected by too. Like my channel, I don't even like saying it, but they get deleted one time. And I knew this is what I wanted to do with my life. And that night I broke down, and I'd always connected to God my whole life, but I had never been like, I never basically, like maybe a couple times I was drowning once, but there was only a couple times in my life where I said, God, I need you. Right. Like it was always like, God, thank you for my mom and dad. Thank you for the peas, thank you. I just said, and I had gratitude in my life. But that night I said, God, like I tried so many businesses. I said, this one felt right. I said, this is what I want to do with my life. I want to teach. I want to mentor. I want to do YouTube. I want to grow. Like this is, and I said, I need you, and I knew that I wasn't alone. Like that night, my whole house was quiet. Everyone was asleep, and I knew I wasn't alone, and a lot of things were lifted from me, and my channel began to grow. And that's why I haven't taken a day off since February of 2021. And like you were talking about my hustle and my grind, but it literally comes from, I believe God opened the door for me and changed my life. And I'd never want to disrespect God by taking a day off, by saying, I can squander now. You know what I mean? Like, just like you till the land, like you were given that land, you till it now. Like it's homage to God when you till land, because you're telling God, like, thank you so much for the soil. I'm going to make something out of this, So yeah. When I watch your channel, and I get kind of goosebumps talking about it now, and I was never someone that would like, but that night when my channel came back the next morning, and I felt it was like divine, because a lot of people said it took them days to get it back. Even, it happened to BitBoy, it happened to Crypto Love, it happened to a bunch of people, And,
yeah, Crypto Face too.
Yeah, and it always took a couple days. Mine was done the next morning. Everything got all the warnings were erased, and
Wow.
I was like, okay,
It's a God thing, right?
yeah. So I was like, I'll preach God's name like whenever I have a chance. So I noticed you do that too, and it's dicey because people want to hear about TA, and we want to stick. We want to be businessmen that stick to our subject matter, but you still slide it in there. It's a part of your life, and I appreciate
for sure
that, man. And I see that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Jesus is like just the purpose for everything. um I know not everyone's religious, I know not everyone's Christian, but yeah, I look at everything I have in life as just a huge blessing from God, and he's had so much favor on me and so much mercy on me. And I'm just so thankful. And it's interesting, you talk about feeling paying the homage by doing your work. In Hebrew, the word for work, avodah, I mean, it's literally the same word for worship. So it is interesting, when God created man, he put them in the garden to work. And it's that same exact word. Work and worship are synonymous, because God created us here to do what we're supposed to do as humans. And us being who we're created to be is honoring God who created us. So, it's a very interesting concept.
Well, as much as I love trading, like yesterday, every year around this time, you redo the lawn and like put out seed. Like I don't have a thing like you. I have like a quarter acre of land that I just met landscape.
You could do a lot with that, bro. Honestly, you could grow a lot. You should grow some potatoes, man.
My issue is I need to chop some trees down because I need to I have shading issues, right? So like I need to literally I have places where I could grow. Like I would do anything to I'd be like, Jason, I need to fly you to my house. You need to look at where I'm at. I need to consult you. You know what I mean? Grow there, do that. I'll just do whatever you tell me to do, But you're super busy, man. I don't want to hold up too much of your time. I really appreciate you coming through today and just letting people know a little bit more about you, right? Anyone, they can watch both our technical analysis, and I know you're great at TA, and I love that. But I like these conversations, and I like getting to know you a little bit better. And you have so much to give, man. You're a great person. You've been so nice to me. You had a huge channel when I had 10,000 subscribers, and you've been nothing but a great individual. So kudos to you, man. You have good karma coming your way, and I love every time you stop by the channel. So any last words where people can find you if they just found out who you are today? You never know. There's always someone new bouncing on in. And any last words before we end the interview?
Yeah, man. Well, first of all, Sam, man, I really appreciate you're too kind, man. I feel the same way about you. You're putting in the grind. I really think, I was saying this before, I think your channel is going to be one of the biggest in the next bull market. You're putting in the work, bro. I really love your content. Funny, creative, all that good stuff. Good TA. You can find me on YouTube, Jayson Casper.
He's so laid back.
That's it, man.
So humble about it, just chilling. Man, you're a legend, man. A lot of people love you and know you. You've helped a lot of people, bro. As YouTubers, we don't realize how much our daily effect really ripples through the world. Because we just do it every day and we make another video, and eventually it's been years, but man, you're making a big difference, man, and you're helping a lot of people. So
appreciate it, bro. Thanks for having me on.
God bless you, man. I'll see you soon.
Peace.
Bye.